Hey there, everybody. I want to say, hope you're doing well, and I guess I will anyway. But man, has it been a rough couple of days, right? Spirit said in my readings, on the heels of that tariffs decision that went against Frump, that the Voting Rights Act was starting to look like that was going to be Scotus's way of kissing and making up to Frump, right? And there we have it. However, and I'm going to go right in today. Bottom line, is this going to is the hold? Will the midterm still go the Dems way? Will we still flip at least the House and potentially the Senate? Because that's bottom line. That's what all of this is about. Secondly, I am going to look. Many of you have reached out and said, is this going to result, are we going to see martial law? I was talking to a friend last night, and she said, she said point blank, this is like the civil war, another civil war all over again, right? Red states, blue states. So let's look at those two things. Number one, and Spirit is saying, let me put the first one. Will we even have midterm elections? Is this going to come down to, in the spirit of a civil war, is Frump going to declare martial law for whatever, on whatever pretext, whatever reason, to try and prevent the elections from taking place? Will we even have midterm elections? All right, you all, let's go. Let me get my energy centered. And I'm reading from the Liberation Tarot today. Why, right? Why not? All right. Let's go in. Spirit. Thank you. Will elections proceed as normal? Normal. Will elections proceed? Will we have midterm elections in the United States? Will elections proceed in November 2026? Will elections proceed? I have the Healer of Flowers. They call it the Healer in this deck. That's the Queen of Pentacles. I like it. But let me go. So that's the elections. Will they proceed? The Ace of Swords, love it. When I get, if you read with me, if you've been with me, you know when I get aces, that's my spirit guide's way of saying yes, we will have elections. And the Four of Pentacles, that feels like something that we've seen before. Four of Pentacles can be a establishment, holding, foundational. So I think Spirit's doubling down on that. You all, whew, am I happy to see that? We're going to have elections. As of now, we know this energy is fluid, right? But as of now, this feels like a really strong yes. And I love that we started out with that Healer or Queen of Pentacles, because it is such a there's such a momentum to hold on to that, to fight for that, to continue to press toward it, to keep those guardrails in place. The governors in these states talk about, this is a civil war, whatever. The governors, we've seen a lot coming out from J.B. Pritzker lately, for one, but governors across the United States are going to absolutely, because elections essentially are state run, right? So you're going to see a lot of momentum by governors and local and state officials to ensure the vote itself, that it occurs. We have death that comes, that is, I feel like that's a rebirth. And I also like that I'm getting this. I'm doing the reading on May 1st, which is a full moon in Scorpio. Scorpio rules death, but that's a rebirth. With the Seven of Spirals, that's wands. Seven of Wands, the courage of the people, coming with the Ace of Swords. That's people, stand your ground, do what you, I love, even notice that depiction in that card. It's like all of these, what is that? Tornadoes coming up out of the ground. because they know that's what's coming. And there's this change, this momentous change, this historic um, effort by the American people to have their voices heard. And the Two of Pentacles, yes, people are going to come together, find out ways. This is also a unification among the states, is what I'm seeing, going back to those governors coming together. This is a unification among the states to work together to ensure. And this is, they call it the student. This is the Page of Wands, recognizing that the way that things are done to ensure election integrity are going to shift. There's going to have to be a cooperative effort among states. In other words, what I'm getting, thank you, Spirit, is that certain governors and state officials are going to say, well, look, here's how we're going to do it. And then that method may be replicated by others. So we will have elections. And the king, they call it the crone. It's a feminist deck. The King of Wands. We're going to have elections. All right. So that question is answered. Now, second part of that question is, will elections being held, will the Dems flip the House? As we saw the momentum, will the Dems flip the House? Woo. The Six of Wands. Oh, and I love the fists coming out. Yes. Six of Wands, victory. All right. Because part of what we've seen with all of this, notice a lot of this is happening in the wake of that so-called SAVE Act being parked, right? So they couldn't go at it with enforcing all of these crazy new rules around registration, voter registration, name changes, birth certificates, all this other stuff. They had to park that. So now they're going at it this way. I feel so bad, for all the states, especially the red states where, Louisiana, what's happening there. 2 seconds after this Scotus ruling, the governor of Louisiana jumps up and puts a hold on the primaries. But again, this will, they're going to have to litigate their way out of it, but the people's voices are going to be heard. Is this going to diminish, at least for the time being, Black candidates and fair representation? Probably. But I'm also still getting that what we have seen in certainly in my readings and energetically is, and as we have seen in other primaries and in other races where surprisingly red leaning areas have gone Democratic. This reconfiguring the maps is not going to change that. Spirit. The House. Victory, Six of Wands. Will the House go to the Dems after the November election? Will the House go to the Dems? The Seven of Wands comes back. Y'all saw me shuffling. The Seven of Wands comes back. The will of the people, the strength. But it is a fight, you all. This is such a fight. I mean, this is really going to depend on people getting out to exercise their right to vote. Point blank, period. Everybody has to get out and vote. And the Three of Cups celebration. I love it. Three of Cups. Yes. And I also am getting a number reference here. Like it could be narrow. It could be that the Dems take it by maybe three seats or something to that effect. It might be okay, thank you, Spirit. It might be a little narrower than it was going to be. It could have been, there has been talk about an absolute wipeout and Dems just smashing it and, and record numbers of seats overtaken, right? So this, I think there may be a tamping down of that to some extent. Maybe the margins won't be as wide, but what I'm getting from this is the High Priestess comes up. There's now she doesn't show all of her cards. Spirit, why is the High Priestess here regarding the House in November? Why is the High Priestess here? the Four of Swords, and the Three of Wands. I think there's going to be some contesting. That's what Spirit is saying. There's going to be some contesting. There will be some, calls by the GOP of foul play, la, 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 because this is a win. And of course, they're going to contest that. They're going to try and say that there was some sort of interference. So the Four of Swords comes to say, we got to clarify it, review it, maybe even delay it. But the Three of Pentacles says there will be, they call it flowers, but it's earth. Pentacles says there will be cooperative efforts to do recounts, whatever has to be done. But notice this is our second three that we're getting as well. I think the House is going to be taken at least by 3 seats, if not more. At least. Now, and the Two of Swords comes. With the Page of Pentacles. I think Spirit's doubling down on the reviews that, or the, they may contest some races after the fact. 2 cards are coming. The Ace of Swords comes back. Yes, they're going to contest, but also the Page of no, that's the Knight. The Knight of Cups. It won't matter. They're going to take the House. There will be some delays in final results, or there may be, especially if some of the races are tight, there may be some recounts and things like that. But as of now, you all, I still see the midterms being taken. Let me ask it this way, just as a backup. Spirit, will Hakeem Jeffries become Speaker of the House in 2027? Will Hakeem Jeffries become Speaker of the House in 2027? Will Hakeem Jeffries become Speaker of the House in 2027? Will he be Speaker of the House in 2027? The Ten of Wands. Now, this is interesting because there are those who are just not very happy with Hakeem Jeffries. We know that, but yes, and there's the thing with the Ten of Wands. There's so much energy behind it that or leading up to it, that he's up to the task, but he's also going to realize the tremendous weight that he's taken on. The ancestors come up. That's the number 5 major arcana, the Hierophant. I see that as a yes. And I love that in this deck they call it the ancestors. Yes. That's government. That's him taking over, but it is a huge this will not be a cakewalk for him. And I feel like that goes back to the prior spreads that we were getting around. Perhaps the win may be tighter, the margins may be tighter than they were going to be if all of this had not happened. The Nine of Swords. Threading the needle, no less. Look at the imagery there. Threading the needle. Oh, you know what? This isn't about whether the House is taken or him. This is some people contesting him. Spirit, am I getting that right? There may be people contesting Hakeem Jeffries' nomination. The 8 of Swords. That might be it. And the 7 of Cups, more choices. All right. So again, I think Spirit is saying House is good, but Hakeem Jeffries, there may be some people may say, look, we need to examine some other choices around him. And so he may not. The question was whether he was going to. And the Queen of Swords. Yeah, there may be a woman who comes up in the mix. That's really interesting. Don't be surprised if there's some resistance to Hakeem Jeffries taking the House as Speaker, becoming Speaker of the House. We'll see what happens with that. All right, the last thing I want to look at today, you all, the other thing Spirit led me to is this 90-minute call between Putin and Frump. Both of them, it's a losing game for both of them. Putin is definitely, Ukraine is not going well, and they supposedly discussed Iran and the Iran war and the war in Ukraine. Putin's in trouble. Zelensky and Ukraine has done their doggone thing and are not showing any signs of letting up. So he's in trouble with that. But Spirit just said like the two biggest losers, right? And of course, Frump with Iran, looking for a way out, not going his way. Spirit, did they strike some sort of deal in that call? Did they strike a deal to help one another out to end the wars, respectively? Was this about both of them trying to figure out ways to save face in their respective wars? And also, because Spirit is saying, highlighting, remember, if I'm not mistaken, on the heels of that, I think just yesterday, then Frump comes out and talks about pulling troops from Spain, Germany, and Italy, right? Why do that? Why do that unless, jumped out, Five of Cups, both of them. This was a call of commiseration in terms of, but also manipulation, because we know Putin tells him what to do. And here's the way forward. Look at that, like going through a portal. Putin is saying, listen, this was Putin in charge of Frump saying, I know you're in trouble. You cannot go after Iran. Remember as well, right prior to this call last week, Abbas Arachi, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, out of Iran, went and visited in person with Putin. Now we've got this call. The healer of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles. How do we stop it? Or it needs to stop. Spirit, did they strike a deal that if Frump agree to pull troops to give Putin some levity in Europe, like his future plans, the Dream 21 world? So that's what Putin wanted, and that's why Trump is talking about pulling troops, because of Putin's world ambitions, or world, at least the threat of it, that knowing if you have lesser security forces from the U.S. in some of these European nations, which has always been the concern in Europe, right? Not giving Russia a more open window in terms of threats to Europe. So that's what Putin wants. I need you to step aside so that at least the threat and the potential of what I can do is in place. And we have an uprising, the Judgment card that comes up, because Putin is losing influence. His health is failing. What are you saying, Spirit? The equipment, the military equipment, the manpower is failing. There is an uprising within his own ranks. So that's his plan. He wants to save face. I basically have to work toward a way to try and save face to come out of Ukraine. But in doing so, I also want to be positioned as having a stronger presence and knowing that these European states are weakened. Now, what does Frump get out of it in terms of Iran? Did Putin offer to mediate with the uranium? In other words, be a placeholder or party to help the U.S. The world comes again. 22. This card gives an extra card. 22, an extra major arcana. That's what it was. So that's what, no surprises there, you all. That's the deal that they struck. Putin said, let me step in and it's not so much about what happens in Pakistan, although we'll see more of that. But Putin basically said, I will help you save face regarding Iran's nuclear capabilities, whether that's them turning over some uranium to me. Not so sure about that. We don't really know what Abbas Arachi agreed to or talked to Putin about when they had that in-person meeting, but there's something around that. In exchange, though, Putin said, if whatever moves we make in regards to Ukraine, to at least appear that we've gotten something more out of the deal and to strengthen our position within Europe, I'm gonna need you to pull your troops. Spirit, last thing to close this out. Spirit, will US troops be pulled from Europe, from some of those nations? Spain, Italy, Germany. Will there be a three, the Empress, they call it the Duala in this deck, but that's the Empress. I think so, you all. I think so. Maybe not absolute pulling out, but the Empress is people, resources. Often in a different context, we look at it as abundance and growth and fertility and generation of energy. But in this case, I think it's designed to pull people back, pull the troops back. And there's the Student of Wands, but it would be done in a phased way. So Frump didn't agree, and he's not going to just haul off and pull all troops, but there's something where he's going to continue to dangle that and put that on the table to appease Putin. And when this is all said and done, that's what Putin wants. He wants the appearance, that threat, that lingering threat, the appearance of increased strength for Russia. And Frump just needs a way out of Iran. That's it. He just needs a way out. This is so cat and mouse, though, you all. I don't see that. I don't see either of them doing something like that. The last piece of that is, will there be a ceasefire on May 9th? We know that Russia has a victory day on May 9th, and part of that phone call was that Putin said he would, call it at least a temporary ceasefire in honor of Russia's victory day on May 9th. Zelensky, we're hearing, is like, what is that all about? And I need to hear more about that before I agree to anything. Spirit, will there be at least a temporary ceasefire coming up in May, mid-May, around May 9th? Will there be at least a temporary ceasefire? The Nine of Wands. A push for it, for sure. And the Nine of... comes back to back with nines. And the Nine of Swords. Thread the needle. And the Ten of Swords. I don't know, you all. It feels like there's so much distrust, and especially this is Zelensky in Ukraine, to not trust anything that Putin says. And the Ten of Wands. I'm not so sure that there will be. It may be a call for it or whatever, but the degree to which it's implemented and how long it will last, I'm not so sure about that. Yeah, and the Eight of Pentacles. They're going to work on it, or it is in the works to call for a ceasefire, but the degree to which it holds or how long it holds, really big question mark there. Zelensky's no fool. And so the two of them, these two biggest losers, that's what Spirit keeps saying. These two biggest losers, trying to call the shots right now, when the shots of, the major moves between Zelensky and the leaders of Iran, they're checkmating all over the place. That call was basically 90 minutes of bluster is the word that Spirit just gave me. All right, you all. That said, hang in there, chin up no matter what. This has really lit a fire. And I think that to the degree that this is sending us back in some ways to be very reminiscent of the Civil Rights Act and the Civil Rights Movement, remembering as well that movement did not succeed entirely due to the efforts of just Black people or Black and brown people. That movement was successful because it drew people from all races, all backgrounds, all areas, rich, poor, otherwise. And that is something that I think we're going to see a different version of. Everything is, new time, um, old things handled in a new time. But I think we're going to see a lot of um, Spirit keeps saying people crossing lines, and the idea that when you look at the numbers, there are more people, race aside, politics aside, there are more people who want to preserve democracy than there are those who want to destroy it. All right, so that's my chin up piece for the day. Shoulders back, and please keep remembering to breathe, because we got that sky above us, forces above us, spirits above us, the ancestors, and all of those who fought so hard for the rights of all people in this country. Woo, they are stirred up. I don't see how any of them are getting a wink of sleep at night. I mean, the whole cabinet. I don't see how any of them are getting a wink of sleep. But that's another conversation for another day. Earth beneath you at all times. Stand strong. All right. I'll talk to you a little later. Be safe out there. Bye.